and at some point they told me, もうタメ口でいいよ。And that really felt, oh my god, they accepted me into their family. 例えば、これ使われますか？私、この商品に使われるってことそれで言えば、日本語と違って英語の場合は尊敬語とか謙譲語がないんだけど丁寧語があるなんじゃない？
今日は外国人が考える敬語の素晴らしさについて話をしてみるよ。
Let's find out!
こんにちは、全人類と友達になる男の僕がミスターウチです。そしてバイレニーです。
アナでございます。
ポルです。アロンです。
今日のテーマは外国人が考える敬語の素晴らしさについて。Oh, it's very wonderful. 敬語 is 敬語 is very wonderful. Why is that so? みんな日本語ペラペラですよね。
ペラペラ。
そんなことないです。まだまだです。
ございません。
まあもうね、これするのは日本人なのよ。もうこのいやいやいやいやっていうのは。
そうなんですか。
かなりね、日本語はペラペラな、レベルが高いこの4人と喋ってたら、敬語面白いところがたくさんあるよというのと同時にめちゃくちゃ困るところもあると、
Oh, of course.
日本人気づいてないでしょっていうところをアナさんからね、主に指摘いただいたんで、今日は話していきたいと思います、それでは行ってみましょう。最初に敬語って何かっていうのを喋って
What it is.
そうで、その後困ること嬉しいことっていうのを喋って、で最後英語中国語との違いっていうのをね話していけたらと思ってますが、よろしいでしょうか？
はい、
よろしくお願いします。
お願いします。承知いたしました。
よろしく。みんながどれだけ敬語について理解してるかもちょっと聞きたいから、
Okay, try me.
敬語ってなんか3つあるよね。
はいはい。
それぞれ何があるでしょうか？はい。
尊敬語、謙譲語、丁寧語。
パーフェクト。
はいよ。尊敬語は、尊敬している人と話すときに使うものです。相手の立場を上にして尊敬を表す。
語病気とか、その、おとか、ごとかっていうのをつけるのは、相手の位置を上げるってことね。尊敬してる。はい。なーじゃあ、枕元のやつ、これ。
Is the circle of the life. 尊敬語を表すこと。
ライオンキングは尊敬語ってことです。はい。じゃあ次、謙譲語。
謙譲語は、それの逆で、自分が謙譲っていう立場なので、自分を下にすることで相手を上にするっていうやり方です。
お願いいたしますとかっていうね、自分が下に行くってことね。
Like for Song Keigo, it's like you go up, so it's like the circle of life with Simba, and then for Kenjogo, you know, you have to put yourself below, so you long live the king, and then Mufasa goes. That's in your mind for remembering. Long live the king. And then Mufasa's like,
yeah, he's on the cliff. In the buffalo.
and then Simba's like, no.
最後、丁寧語。
丁寧語は簡単にデスマス形を使うことです。
丁寧語は上げるとか下げるじゃなくて、丁寧に書くってことね。そのもの自体をきれいにするみたいなイメージね。
そうですね。
この3つが入り混ざってるから、とても難しい。
難しいです
もう正直ね、僕もめっちゃ苦手です、敬語。
そうです。Really?
この3つがありますよっていうのを前提に、これからね、いいところとか困るところとかを聞いていこうと思いますので、よろしくお願いします。じゃあ、誰かある人。
Oi! So I have a komaru 10, okay? So here's a little hanashi for all y'all, okay? So this is when I couldn't understand Japanese at all, so 0. I was in Japan with my sister, and she could speak Japanese quite well at the time. And so we go to a hotel, because we're traveling around together, and she was checking in, and like, we get to get in person. I think she asked like, right? But like, my sister, who's been living with my aunt, who's a Japanese lady, the whole time, for like 6 months or something like that, when you speak with your family, you only speak like casual, right, normal Japanese, right? You don't use keigo with your family, right? And so my sister, being very used to normal Japanese, she was confronted with like all this keigo all of a sudden. She's like, huh? What? Like the counter lady asked like 3 or 4 times, like in the same keigo way, like, do you want a receipt kind of thing? She's like, and then she says simply like, Ishito or something like that.
Totally get you.
いらないです yeah. So in that way, I don't want to say unnecessarily, but it can make
Complicate.
Yeah, it can complicate a very simple sentence and make it much more difficult to understand, even though it's a very like normal thing to ask. Yeah.
True. It's not only in the hotel or something, even in konbini.
Exactly.
Sometimes when I wasn't that good in Japanese at the time, I was keep repeating the same thing to the tenants.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Like one of the hardest things was like, "Hey, 袋ご量になりますか?" I was like, "Huh? I'm gonna become a bag?"
Yeah. ご利用になりますか
すいません、何ですかそういうあるね。
そもそも日本語のビギナーにとっては簡単な文章もちょっとドキドキしながらこうレジとかに行った時にめちゃくちゃ難しいよくわからないこと言われたら
そう
確かにね
そうこれ買いたいんですけど
あれ
Right, and like any sort of like official business, you may have like the shiakusho or something like that, or the kuyakusho, or like if you're trying to, you got the fudosan or something, and you're doing a rental application, they're always doing things very professionally, as they should, right? But you're just being blasted with this all this keigo, right? And you're like, man, I have no idea what the hell is going on. You're giving me this application form, which is blah, kanji, right? No idea what this is. I guess I'll sign here.
じゃあ次誰か
じゃあそこからのいい点なんだけど、最初来日したばかりにこんなに敬語に困ったどうしようっていう感じから使いこなせるようになった時にはすごい満足感が湧いてくる
I see it.
When you go to a hotel and you know exactly what they're gonna say and you understand everything that they are saying in those super high level keigo and you're like, oh yeah, I don't know what you're saying. I know Japanese now. I am the N1 above level right now. 達成感が半端ない。
はい次
Okay, so like say you're at a convenience store, right? And you get keigo used on you, like the person at the counter is like speaking keigo to you. Like even though it's like a really normal place, like a convenience store, you're not really expecting high level service.
Right.
Yeah, and yet they're still using really polite, respectful language to you, right? And that makes you feel, it adds like a certain flavor to the interaction that makes you feel like they have my best interest in mind kind of thing, right? They want to make sure that I have as good a service as possible, even with this very short interaction that we're having, right? Compared to say like in Canada or the US or other English speaking countries where that culture isn't necessarily there. Like the interaction isn't as like, I don't know how to describe it, maybe like as memorable perhaps, or or it can just feel like a bit too personal sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like say for example, like they comment on like your shirt or something like that. It's like, man, like no, not now. Like, right? If like in Japan, because they use like really respectful language, it just makes you feel like a valued customer to the store, right?
自分を上げてくれてるとか、まあ相手が下がってるから特別感があるみたいな。
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
逆に英語とかにはさないの？
I mean, there is like polite language for sure. You can speak politely, but I feel like that the same level of like of like raising you up or putting yourself down isn't that's not there.
So like if I would use the extent of what English speakers use as honorifics, then it would be like, oh, would you like a bag today, sir? You know?
Yeah.
But then I would feel like, yeah, sure. That's the same like, you want a bag? Yeah, sure. Same thing. I don't feel any different whether you tell me, would you like a bag, sir, as opposed to want a bag?
Like I wonder if it has more to do with like tone than it is the actual words you use in English.
It has a great deal of tone. Hi,
like,
how are you doing today?
Right. Versus, hi, how are you?
Yeah, how's it going? How's it going?
Right, because at least in Keigo, like the words are different. Even if you speak Keigo in like a kind of like a bland tone, you're still using Keigo, right? But like in English.
Oh yeah. Would you like a bag?
Bag? No? Alright, here you go.
But you can use like that language, but it depends on your volume and it depends on your kind of delivery if you feel respected or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like eye contact and stuff like that. You can still use Keigo without using eye contact. You'll still feel respected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
まあこれ多分自分の感想だけど、いいことか悪いことか分からないですけど、この前マレーシアに帰っててちょっと銀行にやることがあってカスタマーサービスが、サービスしてくれたんですけど、ルートじゃないだけどなんかみんな怒ってると気がしますね敬語使ってないから多分日本で結構慣れてたんで そういうサービスで来るってもなんか僕何が悪いことしたと思ってた。
Like you're being such a bother to
いやいやい
them.
やいや僕何か悪いことしたでもみんな、結構丁寧だけど怒ってると聞こえた。
なるほどね。
言い方がなんか
そうそうそうそう
そんな感じだった
確かに怒りながら敬語喋るのって結構大変だからね。
日本語そういうあるのはいいなと思ってすぐ分けれるから。
I feel like the whole nature of the police in Japan, I'm just like totally not used to because they actually use keigo with you. Like if you're in the way, they're like, "Oh, すみません、どういていただけませんか?" すみません. You know, they would say that.
You weren't intimidated by it.
You don't feel intimidated, but then in the States, you know, sorry to my friend who's a cop if you're watching, but most cops would be like, "Move! You're in the way! Get out of the way, sir!"
Yeah.
どけ
Yeah, exactly.
もちろん敬語使えば何やってもいいとかそういうわけじゃないけど、でもやっぱり敬語使うときは大体ちゃんと しないといけないときだからスイッチするよね、気分が。ちゃんとしようって敬語使うときは。袋ご利用ですかって。袋ご利用ですかとはなんか言いづらい。ね。だからそういう切り替えになるのはいいかもしれないね。はい、次。はい、どうぞ。
But this probably goes for a lot in my case, but when I was learning Japanese and I was studying it a lot, I would study it mostly at my job, right? Because I would only use keigo at my job and I wouldn't like use it outside of my job. So even when I went to my tennis circle in Osaka, I realized that everybody would just use keigo with me because I think that I was just like willingly just like using keigo. It's like, go kazuku irashaimasuka? And they would talk to me like that, and I was like, yeah, I guess I do. I have like 2 sisters, you know. So it kind of made me confused on how close I am in terms of like, I see these people all the time, right? But they're using keigo with me, you know. So I don't know like if we're actually really, really close. You know? Like I would use keigo with the daihyo because he's in charge of everything. But then with everybody else, I would like, I should just use the same Japanese with everybody. Right? But I don't really have that kirikai in my head yet. So yeah, that's very confusing.
いやこれね、日本人もまあまあ難しいのよ。この最初大人になったら大体敬語で喋るんだけど、まず年齢とかかな。
だから最初から聞くでしょ。おいくつですかって聞く。
いや最初に年齢聞くのもなんかちょっと変な感じするから、今日寒いですね。
確かにね。
おいくつですか？
早いっすね。
そして2を聞くのが失礼だね。
確かにすいません。変なルールだと確かに僕思うけど、おいくつですか
？20歳です。
一緒ー20歳マジいいためーウケるだから
Really?
同い年とか下の人には敬語使わなくていいっていうルールがあるの、
僕も日本来てからずっと聞かれるんですよ。おいくつですか？香港にいる時もマレーシアにいる時聞かれたことはないですよ。
No.
That's true. I thought they were talking about my shoes. Yeah, what is this called? I'm like, I have that. I'm just going through.
こういうのないよね多分アメリカとか
Right. I think that's like kind of the hard thing about like coming from Canada or America and then coming to work in like in a Japanese environment is because like a lot of the times you make friends at work, right?
Yes.
Right, and like your social circle is mostly at work, and you talk with your coworkers as if you're long friends or something like that, right?
Correct.
And so
Not in Japan.
yeah, not in Japan, right?
No.
So like when I first came here and I started working in Japanese environments, it was like I was expecting to be like, like good morning, you know, what's
That's what I
up?
thought too. That's what I thought too.
Let's kick today's ass, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was expecting that kind of environment, but it was like really like holding you at a distance kind of thing. That's what it felt like, right? It's like not yet kind of thing, right?
On the flip side, once you kind of get used to it, it feels very rewarding when you get to switch with someone from keigo to tameguchi. For example, for me, I had the opportunity to stay for a homestay for 2 days, 1 night, and this one family. And for the time that I did the homestay, I would always speak in either keigo or like at least teinego, like desumasu, and they would also speak to me in a desumasu kind of way, right? The parents. And we also, after the homestay, we also meet afterwards. And at some point, they told me, もうタメ口でいいよ. And that really felt, oh my god, they accepted me into their family.
I'm part of the family.
敬語を使ってるからいつまでも仲良くなれてない感じもするし、 でも敬語を使わなくなった時にすごい近くなれたみたいな気分になる。英語はなんかそういう言葉の違いってあったりする？
僕にはないんだけどね。
中国語は？
ない。
ないんだ。なんかもうここの言葉を使い始めたからもっと仲良くなったみたいな。
I guess, yeah. I feel like that instead of like using like the transition from Keigo to Tamaguchi is like I feel like that's mostly expressed in like body language a lot of the time, or like
you're more comfortable with touching.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I feel like that difference is kind of expressed through like more body language and like how you refer to each other, right? So instead of like, hey Byron, could you get those reports to me on my desk later today?
Oh, sure, I'll have it in stat.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
5 p.m.
Yeah. Compared to, yo bro,
What's up, man?
bro, you got those reports down for me now?
Yo, I got it done right here, bro.
Yo, just toss me. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
bud.
here you go.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
Yeah.
It's like tone.
Tone.
There's a lot of tone and like.
Tone and
Oh,
slang.
yeah, like I was saying, like how you refer to each other, right?
Yeah.
Like before I said, Byron,
My
I used his
name.
right? Whereas you could be like bro afterwards.
Bro,
Yeah.
dude.
Like, dude. Yeah.
Hey, bud.
Yo.
And like that's not abnormal in like the workplace.
同じ会社で働く先輩後輩とかでもブローっていうことになるんですよ。
Of course.
OK な。
OK ですね。
Yeah, no, well, not your boss. I don't call my boss bro.
Yeah, I mean that'd be maybe not your boss.
ちょっと困ることがあるんですけ
What are you
ど、
commenting with?
敬語を受け身形で使うって言ったら使われてる時に困る。例えば、これ使われますか？私この商品に使われるってこと？
でもそうかも、確かに。
私をどうやって使われるってみたいななっちゃうかも。
最初。
楽しそうやな、なんか。
例えばコンビニ行ってお箸使われますかって聞かれた時に私箸に使われてるってことどうやって
箸を使われますか？受け身系。
ちょっと多分違う。
ちょっとじゃ
確かにね、難しいね、日本語。だからお箸に使われるか、お箸を使われるのかで2とおで全然違う。
そ
なんか箸が頭にブスって刺さって体を乗っ取って僕の何でもできるな。
特に話す時にこの「に」とか「お」とか「わ」とかを抜けることが多いから余計にね。
だって普通にお箸使われますかって自然だもん。日本語ってハイコンテクストランゲージでしょ。
出た。
全部これになっちゃうけど、
出た
ハイコンテクストっていうのは、まあ、文化とか状況っていうその言葉以外の情報があって、でそこの上に言葉が乗っかってるから背景でジャッジするみたいなところが多いから、コンビニで使ったらお箸いりますだし、人間の体を乗っ取る箸の宇宙人の話をしてるときは2に使われるっていうのをジャッジしないといけないってことだよね。日本人はさ、あまり勉強とかしてないのよ、敬語って。
どうしてみんなうまいの？
勉強ちゃんとしてないから、まあ、僕よく間違えるんだけど、敬語を仕事とかですごい間違ってることがある。
I mean, I have a friend who like she was saying, I mean, she's a Japanese person, right? But she'd often have to look up like on the internet how to properly say this sentence in Keigo, right? Because like if you mess it up, it sounds horrible, I guess, right? Yeah, or you may end up saying the wrong thing.
有名な話で言うと、接客でレストランに行って、リンゴジュースとコーラのこの2点でよろしかったでしょうかって聞いたりするんだけど、それは敬語的には実は間違いらしくて、よろしいでしょうか。これ僕も今初めて知ったんだけど、お名前を頂戴できますかっていうのは間違いで、お名前を伺ってもよろしいでしょうかが正しい。名前は自分から伺わないといけないんだって。いや、っていうくらいマジで日本人も難しすぎてちゃんとできてない人が、まあ、最近増えてる。僕も含めてね。でこれは一個の問題かもしれないから。
敬語コースないの？日本語。日本人の学校。
あんまりないね。
嘘。みんなうまいね。勉強してないのにうまいね。勉強してもうまくないわ。
True. That's a very true one.
丁寧語で喋って慣れたらタメ口戻るのが難しいっていうことがあります。
ああ、なるほどね。
切り替えね。
職場で喋った後に友達に会った時に
そう。
戻れないってこと。
戻れないことがよくあります。 かタメ口で慣れてて英語に戻らないことも
それ最悪や
本当にあるんですよ。僕本当に良くないだけど、社長と喋るときは急にタメ口出すとか
社長飯何食った
友達とタメ口でもいいよって言われても、ずっと丁寧語喋ってる。
そうよね。
それの時も聞かれて、どうしてずっと僕に丁寧語使うのって言われて、すいませんコントロールできないです
確かにポール僕と喋る時も敬語っぽいもんねちょっとおいあれ遠い存在もしかしてじゃあ最後に英語中国語と比べた時に、日本の敬語って特別というか違うところがあるのかって聞いてみたいなと思うけど、さっきちょっと喋ったけど英語とか中国語って敬語どれくらいある？
敬語ないだけどちょっと丁寧な言葉がある。
あ、そうなの？例えば
まああなただったらにじゃなくてにんとかちょっとフォーマルな感じ。
それ例えば誰に使うの？
お客さんとか社長さんとか。まあでも使わなくても大丈夫ですけど、
その人っていうのは、謙譲語、尊敬語、丁寧語のどれに当たるの？
コンセプトは中国語にはないです。
あ、そうなんや。そういうなんか相手を上げたり自分が下がったりとかそういうんじゃなくて、
じゃないですから
ただなんか丁寧な感じ。
そう、ただ丁寧な感じでするだけです。
Oh, they really respect games over there. Because Nintendo.
Yeah!
確かに
そもそも中国人とか中国語を喋る人もあんまり使わないので、多分数もそんなにないと思います、ね。
ああ、敬語のね、そもそも。じゃあ英語は？
Does it even
it doesn't
exist?
exist.
We don't use any kind of like polite system with. I mean, if the politest thing that we can do is talk to our boss and refer to them by their first name, and not use any slang. Just use standard English.
でも一応さ、could you とか would you って言うじゃん。あれって友達にも言う？
言うですね。
It just depends on like the kind of like vernacular that you have. You
Yeah,
know?
it
Because
really
a lot of
depends,
people
yeah.
do speak like that. They speak very proper. But then for someone like me, my English is very boil. So like, I can get that for me? Alright, cool, thanks. I would say that as opposed to some other people are like, oh, could you get that for me, please? Right? You could use like thank you and please like interchangeably, and that makes your sentence more polite. But it's just falling back on standard English. So there's no kind of term for like there's honorifics that exist. It's just like if you use proper English with somebody, then it's more respected. But we don't call that honorifics.
Right, because even if you were to use the word please in a sentence, that doesn't necessarily make it more polite. Because in fact, like it can be like sarcastic or like backhanded in some way. Right, could you do that for me, please? And if you're really like aggressive about it, like man, chill out. Like, I'll do it fine, you know? Yeah. So like, but as opposed to like, oh, could you just do this for me? Like,
please kiss me.
yeah. If you're an absolute maniac about it, then yeah, it's not going to turn out very good, right?
No.
それで言えば日本語と違って英語の場合は尊敬語とか謙譲語がないんだけど丁寧語があるなんじゃない？中国語と英語には。
確かに could you とか would you とか please ってつけても相手のことを上げたりとか自分を下げてるイメージ全くないもん。
No.
No way.
No
way. No way.
We got a little polite motherfucker here. Could you? Would you?
オブザベーションだけど、海外は自分が下げるのがあんまりないですね。
Yeah.
No.
バイロンが自分を下げてるの見たことない。
自分下げるのがあんまりないです。
俺様です。
Equal or maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe you treat someone better, but like that doesn't mean you devalue yourself.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, bowing, for example, right? That is physically putting yourself lower to them.
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
And like that concept, I guess, that consciousness of like us putting yourself below another person is almost like culturally blasphemous. Like you don't do that, right? Because I think maybe in Western culture, let's say, it's all about like the individual, right? You want to keep like the individual as important as possible, and sure, you want to treat your peers and stuff like that.
With
You want to
respect.
treat, with respect, right?
More so.
But you would never jeopardize your own
Yeah.
status for that.
英語とかさ下に行ったらもうおしまいみたいなイメージあるでそんな感じしない？なんか謝ったらダメみたいな多分それと近い気がするよね。要は
そう
相手を上にして自分が下に行ってこういう上下関係を作ったらもうダメだから謝らないし
Right, yeah. Well, because it's always a race to the top, right? It's always like this.
そうよね、
Yeah.
こういうイメージがある。
Yeah. You know, imagine a skyscraper, right? You're trying to reach for the top of the skyscraper. You're trying to reach the top of the company, for example, right? And if that means you just step on everyone else to get there,
You'll do
then
it.
you'll do it. Yeah.
思った以上に深い話になってしまう。まだ言葉が文化とちょっとつながってるよね、多分ね。はい、ということで今日は外国人が思う敬語の素晴らしさと困る点について話をしてみました。どうだった？
Ooh, it was really interesting getting to know everyone's perspective on the existence of Keigo and then comparing it with everybody others, like country on the whether it exists or it doesn't. Well, obviously it doesn't exist in speaking countries, but it's nice to know that this was created and it really feels good to live in a country where you have this consistent respect for one another. Instead of going like this, you go like you're better. No, you're better. No. Which is nice.
Well, it makes everyone humble that way, right? Kind of flat society.
乾杯もあるでしょ。乾杯。
I always aim at the bottom of the glass. I mean, someone, "Kampa, ho!"
Gotcha.
You have to do this. 乾杯。You have to hold it.
Is that what you do? You go like that?
じゃあ結論としては、敬語は難しいが世界を平和にするということでじゃあ皆さんがね思う敬語の面白さ、あればコメント欄にどんどん書いてください。それでは次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。バイバイ。チャンネル登録
お願い。
します。